Big TV family.
Yes, welcome back, viewers, to the show. You're still tuned in to EKSE, and my name is Awonke and Llama. Please keep those comments as well as questions coming on social media. Please use the hashtag, the one you see on the screen right now. Find us on Twitter, EKSE_live. We're also available on Facebook, EKSE on Cape Town TV. And I want to say something. If you don't understand why I'm nervous right now, I think I'm going to have to school you somehow on the social media platforms, because I'm about to have a conversation with the legendary Mabote. We appreciate you, sir, for making time for us. We are going to be talking about all things the Mabote Foundation, as well as the program that they run, Future Kings, which aims to help young boys from disadvantaged backgrounds, to help them equip them with skills, also help them to reach their full potential, and also provide them with mentors. So welcome to the show.
EKSE, who's it?
I see the player words there. Please tell me the first question that I want to know. What is it that inspired the Mabote Foundation?
About 7 years ago, 2013, read a story of a young man who had just been released from prison for committing very bad crimes, including rape. And he lamented the lack of contact with role models. And I want to repeat, lack of contact, not lack of role models.
Okay.
And at that point, I realized that people like me in public space who think we are role models, we're actually lying to ourselves, because if we have no contact with those that we wish to inspire, then they don't really know how we think and how we get to where we get to. And at that point, I agonized and thought, what can I do to at least have some contact with some people that I can influence? And his story was more closer to me, because I come from a township too. I'm lucky I was not him who could have committed the crimes and been to jail. So I thought maybe what the space I should play in is in mentoring young men in the townships and help them understand that there is huge potential in them, in spite of their upbringing, in spite of their poverty, in spite of their past.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because I find that a lot of us in the townships as well, we try to find guys. Okay, we know what's right and wrong, but the thing is, what we see in front of us naturally will be the gangsters and stuff like that. So in some instances, we look up to them. So this brings me to my next question: the Future Kings. Tell us more about the program. We understand why it was started, and tell us how you guys actually help the kids, the people in need of mentors. How do you guys reach them?
So Future Kings targets teenage boys. So our target audience are young men or teenagers between the ages of 13 and 19, mostly 13 and 18, who naturally should be at school. And I say should be at school because we do accept not everybody at that age is at school for whatever reason. But our reservoir is schools. We go to schools to find these young people. And what we do is that we then train mentors, and we try to match boys with mentors and walk a journey over a period of a year where we really work on 4 things and 4 things only. One is behavioral. It's saying, how do you behave and treat the next human being? Just teaching young men that the next human being has the right to be, and you have to respect them. And inevitably, we do emphasize gender relations there. Because let's face it, those of us who grow in the townships also inherit very toxic masculinity tendencies and misogynistic ways. So try to teach these young men that the young girls in the same class with them, in the same street with them, are not their property. They are not the B word. They are not less than them. They are their own people, so they have to respect them. That's the first thing we work on. The second thing we work on is service. Now, it's one thing to try and mentor somebody and speak to them every day. They'll get tired. Promise you can't speak to a 13-year-old for the whole year. They're going to run away from you. So we try to create programs where they can do something. So we identify projects in their own communities where they can do something to better their own communities. That could be a street cleanup, a painting job at an orphanage or an old age home. That could be work at a hospice or whatever it is, but we give them purpose to serve their own community. And the third thing is what we call the gig economy. The reality of the world we live in now is that these young men who are at school, out of 10 careers that they know today, by the time they finish school, 9 of them will be dead.
Oh.
Those careers won't exist. So we're saying you gotta start to learn now to create your own wealth, your worth. So we try to teach them some ways of making money. We try to use technology. So we bring in experts to show them that from their own cell phones, they can do amazing stuff and learn to become entrepreneurs while they're still at school, which, by the way, takes away the burden from mom and dad to buy a lunchbox, which also takes away the temptation to go to those guys in the corners who then give them drugs and other stuff so that they can survive. They can make their own money legitimately. The fourth thing that we do is comradeship. We teach them networking. Part of this program is to say nobody's an island. Once you become part of Future Kings, you become part of a huge network across the country and hopefully internationally, where we mix with other international partners that do the same work. And we say to the young men, you know, you do not know that this person that you meet today, either on Skype or physically at a camp, because we take them to camps all the time.
Yes.
This could be your future business partner in 30 years.
Wow, yeah.
If you look at the corporate world today, let's pick a company. Let's pick First National Bank. You will be shocked to see when you look at the board of the board of directors at First National Bank that most of these guys knew each other at high school. Those networks do not get formed in the boardroom. They start much earlier in life, and that's what we're trying to do for these young men.
Yo, that's amazing work. I wish that I had met you guys sooner, because I find that very inspirational. And I understand that you touched on one of the points that in the youth camps that you guys you develop models that you guys craft to remove toxic masculinity. Tell me more about that, some of the models that you guys use, because I'm very intrigued by that.
Well, let's start at the top. People ask me why men, why young men only, not the girls. So I always have two answers for that. One is that I can't be everything to everyone. So there are people who do a lot of stuff for women development, and that's very right. We should do even more. I don't think the country has done enough to develop women and to make them catch up with the men's world that we've created artificially. But the second reason is that the truth of the matter is that the problems that we face in this country, maybe in the world, have got a male characteristic. Whether you look at crime, corruption, disrespect, violence, cheating, bad drivers, the characteristic is male. You hardly ever find those people being female. So my view was that then let's deal with young men so that the next adult male we create is not the same as me, who swears at everyone on the road, who touches women when they don't want to be touched, who thinks that I'm entitled to the world. So that's why we focus on that. And in the camps, those are the things we deal with. Our camps, we call our camps the modern day initiation schools. We say you walk into that camp as a young man with all the sexist beliefs, and you walk out on the other side as a better man, realizing that you actually have much more responsibility to this society to become a great human being. Because when you, as one boy, become a great man, that's one huge change already. So that's what we do. We actually complete, and I'm not going to apologize about this, we indoctrinate them to become experts. We talk about decision making. We talk anything between, as I put it to them, we talk about anything between soccer and sin. So anything in between, from masturbation to cooking to gambling to football, whatever it is, everything in between we talk about openly as men to men.
Yes, I really love the program and what it is that Future Kings is doing, breaking down the barriers and also educating our misinformed young men. And I understand that you guys have been in existence for such a long time, and you're still going on after 6-7 years. I want to know some of the success stories that come out of Future Kings.
You know, the success stories are not the ones that you will publish anywhere and you'll see them on billboards. They are actually, they are so untouchable, but very, very amazing, very subtle. And I'm going to give you an example of two young men. Uh, I then took a group of 10 boys on a program in 2017, and I spent a full year with these 10 boys, seeing them every fortnight for a full day, running the mentorship program. And one day I get a phone call from one of the mothers. So all these boys were children of single mothers. So, and you can imagine teenage boys with single mothers. Those mothers have a headache all the time. And one day I get a phone call from this woman, and she says to me, "What have you done to my son?" You can imagine I got worried. I thought, "Oh, what have you done?"
Yes.
And she says, "I have just discovered a new human being in my house.
Wow.
Somebody who cleans up after himself. He even brings us food in bed. This guy is coming back home on time. He does his homework. I don't have to chase him. What have you done to him? I don't remember this guy. I've never seen this guy." And I said, "Well, I don't know. I just have chats with them.
Sure.
I've never even told him to make you coffee. So I don't know what happened." That's one story. The other story is a young man who came to me after our coaching session, and he said to me, "Can I speak to you privately, coach?" And they call me coach, and they call all our mentors coach. And he said to me, "I have a problem. You know, I have not seen my father for a number of years since they separated with my mom, and I do not know what's happening. I know they're fighting with my mom. I don't know whether he's unhappy with me, and I truly miss him." So I said to him, "Has it occurred to you that he also misses you, but he's probably just too ashamed to reach out after all these years?" He said, "Well, that's a possibility." And I said, "Okay, do me a favor. Write him a letter. Not type this letter. Handwrite him a letter and tell him how much you miss him. Don't mention mom. Don't talk about the issues with mom. Just tell him about you and how much you miss him in your own handwriting. And send this letter by post." He did. 2 months later, the young man comes to me and says, "I got something to tell you." I had forgotten, because for me it was just a by-the-way conversation. He comes to me and says, "I've got a story to tell you." I said, "Yeah?" He says, "Since we last spoke 2 months ago, you and I, about my dad and the letter, I've had 4 lunches with my dad, and it's been wonderful to be with him."
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. Wow, you guys really do change lives. And I understand with all the success, there also might be some challenges. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that Future King face?
We've got 2 main challenges. Believe it or not, as a program that tries to get men to join us to mentor boys, men are so resistant to join this movement. It is strange. I don't get it. Although I've been getting some insight from other people to say maybe they're too ashamed, maybe they are toxic themselves, and they don't want to open themselves up to a program like this, because people will say, "Not you, Sipho. How can you be involved in this thing when you know you beat up your own wife?"
Yes.
You know. So that's the possibility. The take up from men has been very, very slow and poor. But I must tell you, something amazing happened this year, where out of COVID, we would have done something amazing. We were going to go on camp, and I had amazing big celebrities who had signed up to become our mentors this year. So I think we begin to get traction.
Yes.
The second headache has been funding. It is difficult to raise funding for this kind of program for many reasons. I truly believe it's an objective thing. It's not because people don't believe in what we do, but there's competition for every R1 out there. There's so many programs that need money out there, and some other companies have committed to other things. And yes, this is not a sexy program. People would rather put money in football or in music and stuff like that. This is not sexy. This is hard work. And maybe when you give me a rent, you won't see the value of your branding that much as you would see it on a billboard at a football stadium. So funding has not been easy for us, but we do get a bit of help from some companies. Notably, I must say, Coca-Cola Bottling in South Africa and Cash Build, they have been very helpful, those 2 organizations, but we do battle financially. Other than that, the program runs well, the schools are supportive. I do not want to get political, but I've been shocked by the poor uptake from our government. I have written to every government department, education and social development in particular, no support over the 6 years.
Wow, the government, that's so disappointing coming from the government, because given that the government should be for the people. We still have a lot to talk about with Mr. Rams Mabote. Llama is on standby to ask a lot more questions, so you guys do stick around. Right now, though, we're gonna go for a quick music break. This is Il Rose.
CTV family.